My name is Macy Maddock. I'm a stage 2B, triple negative, and estrogen positive breast cancer survivor. I'm a special education teacher, soccer coach, breast cancer advocate, and run a 501c3 nonprofit. Initially, my treatment plan was to have chemotherapy right away. However, being 26, I decided to have IVF treatments. My original oncologist did not recommend that. And so I did IVF, had my first treatment out in Idaho, and then moved across country to a doctor in Boston where I had the rest of my treatments. However, in the beginning, I actually had anaphylactic shock to the initial treatment of chemo, Taxol, and carbo. When I finally was able to take my chemo well, I had treatment, and then after treatment, I had a bilateral non-nipple sparing mastectomy. And at that surgery, they discovered I had a PCR, so pathological complete response, which needed me not to have radiation. I've had a few revision surgeries since then, and now this October, I'll be 5 years since that diagnosis and treatment plan. My lowest moment was being in my late 20s at the time in a long-term relationship. However, cancer stripped me of not only that relationship, but my confidence as well. I lost what I thought was the only thing that made me a woman, my hair, my breasts. Um, Now I'm medical menopause, my need and desire. So at that moment in treatment, when I felt I was the worst I could ever look, no hair anywhere, sick as could be, not having a purpose, it seemed at times. And not only was I feeling low in myself, but in my relationship. So that was a very hard time for me. And looking back on it is honestly shocking sometimes to realize where I was and to where I am today. Social media is truly what saved me during that time. I found other like young 26-year-olds or in their late 20s, early 30s diagnosed with breast cancer, and knowing that I wasn't alone, that this wasn't just a one in a million type of ordeal. I feel very fortunate that I have a huge community. Not only do I have my family, I'm one of 6 siblings, and we're all very close. And then beyond that, I actually, prior to being diagnosed, is how I found Boarding for Breast Cancer, a nonprofit organization that hosts retreats for snowboarding and surfing and just getting active and having a healthy lifestyle. And so after I was diagnosed, I actually reached out to them and became one of their volunteers. And so Lisa and that whole crew have become part of my community. And then beyond that, like I said, on social media, there is a group called the Breasties, and they're a very young minded group that hosts Zoom calls, and they do a camp every year. And so I found my community through them, and then through them is how I am now formulating a new community in Lioness Retreat. This journey has made me appreciate the small things, taught me to slow down, to not stress the small, tiny things that prior I would. There isn't a lot of light in the moment when everything seems to be going wrong, but there's a future and it's bright, and lean on those that consistently show up for you because they're the ones that are never going to go away. Fight like hell.